Okay, kids, I'm so excited. Do you know why? Number one, this actor scares me, and that's a good thing. Usually that means exorbitant talent. Number two, he's from Scotland, and I rarely ever get an opportunity to interview someone from there. Number three, I'm super excited because he knows how to run. He's got teenagers and he's still alive to talk about it, which is super awesome. He's a drummer, he's an actor, he's a theater, he's in everything. So, young man, introduce yourself to everyone, please.
Yes, hello. I'm Stephen Correll, and I like this. Like he knows how to run. But if you've ever seen me running, then you might you might take that back.
We will get to the running part. I have a bunch of different interesting questions for you, but I want to start off with one that to me seems rather obvious to talk about. Here in the United States, things are a little bit differently when we talk about formal education in any field. Now, in your particular field, what I found out was you attended Trinity College and you got a diploma in speech and drama acting, but you only attended for a year, and I found that interesting because traditionally speaking, college education is usually a 4-year program. So how does that work exactly?
This was a course held done by a private company in Edinburgh called Acting Out, and it was a 1 year diploma, and it was accredited um, by or two, or however you say that, Trinity College London. So they had passed it as being acceptable to be to receive that accreditation at the end of it. So it was a 1 year diploma, 1 or 2 weekends a month, I think, plus some written assignments that we had to do, lots of practical stuff, an assignment at the end. And when you got it, you got the accreditation for Trinity College. So yeah, so that was that. So
Cool.
it was only I guess uh, skimming the surface. It wasn't an in-depth 3 or 4 year course. So
Gotcha. Now, speaking on that, would it be fair to say to folks, meaning let's say somebody watches this interview and they might be starting out in acting, would you recommend a 1-year program like that? Do you think that's enough? Maybe the scratching of the surface is enough to get them motivated and inspired and educated to a degree?
I think it's more than enough.
Oh,
Um, and I'm a great believer in talent being maybe directed and sort of nurtured, but we don't need hours and hours and years of study. It's good to have some knowledge. It's good to have the tools. It's good to know about Stanislavski and Chekhov and Meisner and all these great people. And it's great to think, well, I like that. I can use some of that. But you don't. That's my cat.
thank you for sharing that.
I don't know where she was earlier, but she's gone. She's gone away
Apparently,
now.
the cat would like to be interviewed as well. So,
Know that that stuff's there. Remember some of it. Use it if you want. But it's not the be all and end all. What they need to teach more of is business, how to network, how to make contacts, how to present yourself, how to audition, how to apply for work, where to start, what to expect. Because people go in with high expectations. There are people on that course that believe that by the end of it, they would be walking into lead parts in high end professional drama. And some of them had a very nasty surprise at the end of it. So you want a mix, a good mix.
understood. Now, you, of course, are approximately, as I've learned, 5 hours away from London. So I have a question for you. Like, for instance, in London, they've got all sorts of different incentives for why people should come there for filming. I know they've got outdoor cinema, they've got the beautiful cinema museum that's located there. So I'm curious to ask in your country, do you feel that this would be a filmmaker friendly place for folks to come for projects?
Absolutely, and I think Scotland has been encouraging filmmakers to come in, and some of the biggest asset that here, of course, is the scenery. So I've just finished a film called The Guardians of Loch Ness, which is surprise, surprise, is about the monster that dwells in Loch Ness, and I play a 300-year-old Jacobean sea dweller, as you would expect. I've got this curse and all sorts of things, and I'm trying to steal the egg of Nessie's egg. And but the scenery is absolutely stunning, and that is a film. It is a filmmaker's dream. Some of those things, and yeah, you got lots of talent here as well. Um, So it's a good, yeah, it's a great advertisement for the country,
Yeah.
and fantastic lighting, scenery, colors, history, culture, old castles and relics and lochs, and um,
Ooh.
make of that what you will.
This sounds exciting. It does actually. And so the
Yeah,
drink of choice in Scotland is, because here in
uh,
Wisconsin it's Miller beer, of course.
I like a Miller. I
Ah,
like a Miller. Yeah,
okay.
a bottle of Miller. Absolutely. Yeah. And it used to annoy me when you could, you could buy it for like 50p a bottle in Tesco's or
Yeah.
Asda or Walmart, and then you go
Yes.
in a club, and it would be like £3.50 a bottle. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, yeah. Well, that's how they make money. But no, it's whiskey, of course. Yeah,
Yes, I figured
whiskey with a
that.
Y, not an EY, which is a
Aha.
difference.
Okay. Gotcha. Thanks for that
So.
distinction. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Um,
Irish whiskey's got the EY, and Tennessee whiskey's got the EY.
Tennessee
And
whiskey.
I am
That sounds good.
partial to a Jack Daniels. So
Who doesn't like Jack Daniels? Sorry. We probably shouldn't admit that because we're professionals, so of course. But yeah, Jack Daniels is the bomb. I mean, absolutely, without a doubt. Um, I know that based on everything that I've done with research in your regard and what I've read, it leads me to believe that your parents are incredibly inspirational to you, and in some way they've left a beautiful footprint on you. So if you would, please tell me a bit about your parents' influence on you and how it's made you a better person and a better actor.
I think they were quite encouraging, always encouraging for what I did, whatever it was. They encouraged me. They didn't try to hold me back. They're trying to do what you want to do.
Sure.
They were fun-loving people. Was going out. They love music, and I've got that influence from them from my music as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think fun, outgoing, um, sort of receptive to anything, and not holding me back. It's encouraging me to do my own thing. And I'm just sad that, and even even when he was in his 80s, before he died, my dad was coming along and watching me at some of my theatre shows that I did, um, and you would speak to people years later. Oh, your dad, he never stopped talking about.
Oh, how sweet.
And yeah, and those things are nice. So
It
and that's what I
is.
try and do with my own kids. Try and just let them follow this.
Absolutely.
It's not always about the money, or keep life simple so you can have more time to do what you want to do.
Sure.
Um,
I've actually said to you before numerous times, and you guys should take a look at his repertoire because he doesn't always play nice guys. In fact, most of the time he plays creepy, villainous individuals. So this is a fair question because you did indicate to me that you have a teenager at home. So I'm just
hmm.
wondering if some of the evil characters come out because I can remember when my kids were teenagers, it was hell. I mean, it's just hell. Teenagers are difficult. It can be very frustrating. So I'm like, because you have children at home. I think a lot of us oftentimes have a tendency to want to see them navigate in our direction creatively. I
Hmm.
see that that's starting to happen for you. And so, how do you feel about that? Or do you think that maybe even actors in the house at some
It, it,
point?
it's it's actually great because my son Alfie, he's very keen on technical theatre,
Yeah.
and behind the scenes. So he's just had an assessment. They had to make a mood board he's doing Jekyll and Hyde, and he had to make a mood board for the set.
Okay.
Uh, so he showed me that, and he makes little models of sets and things as well. And that stuff, to be honest, it doesn't bore me, but it doesn't excite me too much. It's interesting, and like,
Sure.
yeah, that's great. But then the acting side doesn't interest him that much. He leaves all that stuff to me.
Okay.
I've encouraged him. There should be some crossover. Don't just make a set and not know what. No, understand
Sure.
the play and understand what the actors do, and hopefully that will be reciprocated by them, and that respect needs to be there.
Oh, I
And
agree.
he said to me recently, he said, I find it much more interesting talking to actors at the college rather than tech people, because some of
Oh,
the tech people can be a little bit. can be a little bit nerdy.
You think? I mean, I think that's the definition is kind of a little dull, a little intense. But you know what? We love our tech people because those are the ones
Yeah,
who do editing and they know all that funky stuff that we don't know how to do. So,
yeah.
more
We
power
all
to
need
them
each
there.
other. That's what I like about filmmaking. You've got 30 odd people on that set, and we can't function without each other.
Absolutely.
And I had that experience when I did a big shoot for Netflix, and it was like on the first day I arrived on the set, there must have been 30 names on that call sheet, and me, and I was the only actor,
Okay.
and I'm like, wow, that's scary, but it's also right. Get all that stuff right. Bring the actor in. Right, stand over there.
Yes.
Do your
I
stuff.
get you.
Right,
Yes.
get out. And you're thinking, wow, I'm such a small part of this.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Huh.
eye-opening and interesting, humbling.
Now, I think I've said this before publicly, so people won't be shocked by this. I think I've managed to admit more than once now that yes, I've been alone for a while now. So in the romance department, anytime I do an interview, I'm all about shameless romance of other people since I apparently have none. So Sharon is your wife. So please tell us a bit about her. And then second of all, do you ever collaborate or will you ever collaborate together creatively?
Uh, I'm laughing because she once took part in one of my films and she was like, never again. But anyway, I'll come to that. No, she's wonderful. She was my hairdresser, and we met in the salon. So I walked in, and it was like, hi, and I was like, yeah, I'm looking for a haircut. And that was 20 odd. I'm glad she's not here because she would. It was exactly 20. She would know exactly when but I don't know how long ago. But and we met, and I kept going back for my haircuts. And you meant to have a haircut every 6 weeks, but my haircut length got shorter and shorter. I'd go back
Sure.
every 3 weeks so I could see her
Mm-hmm.
again. And
Aw.
you were only in last week. Yeah, well, it's getting a bit long. And she was my hairdresser, and eventually we started dating, and she would come to see my band at the time. That was when I was in the band.
Yeah.
And yeah, we got together, and we share a love of music and fun and partying, and just we're great friends. And yeah, that's how that all works, and that's why it works out really well. She's not interested she loves all my stuff. She'll watch it all. She'll tell everybody about it. But she just like, nah, I don't want to do it myself. She hasn't got the patience. As you know, filming is very laborious. There's a lot of standing around. Uh,
Yes.
you spend 90% of the time doing absolutely nothing, apart from huddled in a blanket reading your lines, and then you have to go and do your stuff.
Yep.
There was a film I was in called "We Don't Do Refunds," which was about a guy that had bought an unsavory magazine from a newsagent's, and only to discover that all the good bits had been blacked out. And he took it back to get a refund,
Okay.
and the guy says we don't give refunds, and he hauled the guy over the counter, and one thing led to another, and eventually his wife walks in, and they needed someone to play the wife, and I said, I know, I'll ask my wife. And she stood around that shop for 2 days filming, and she said, never again. It was freezing cold. I was bored out of my head. There was nothing to do. There was take after take, and it was like, no. So
Sharon,
collaboration. Do you want to do it?
I get it. No, I do. I can remember running lines. I enjoyed like running lines with him or helping him with audition tapes or listening to him when he did the VO sort of thing and all that good stuff. But I can remember shooting with him and being on a set and he's like explaining camera angles to me. I'm like, irrelevant. He's trying to talk to me about how important it is that we have to look here and here. And I'm like, can we just get this done? And then I was like, I just want to get to the good part where we're playing husband and wife and we're doing the fun stuff. And I'm like, all the rest of it, she's right. It's
Yeah.
like,
Well,
yeah,
she
this is
helps
fun.
me with she helps me with self tapes a
Oh,
lot,
okay.
and so does my son. So she reads,
Nice. Okay.
and she'll have fun with it as well. I mean,
Nice.
I had to play a part where I was walking into a shop,
Yeah.
and I had to go to the counter, and when I opened the door, she kept going beep, boop, like the door, and I was like, stop doing that. and and then so we've got outtakes of self tapes which
Oh,
we play back, and
geez.
they're very funny.
Yes,
And she likes to sometimes she likes to do her lines like oh, and say no, you don't have to act it, you just have to read it.
exactly right. You bet.
And when she sees it on the telly,
Yeah.
and I didn't get the part, we're sitting there watching. And I was like, that was that one that we did. Look,
Yes.
she's like, you did it much better than that. And
Oh,
there's a comment.
we like Sharon. This is good.
So
Uh,
they like it, immense support,
yeah.
immense support, and fantastic. But she doesn't want to get involved.
I get it. I do. You mentioned, of course, the music side of things. So you are a drummer. So I have a two-part question for that. My 20-year-old lives in this house at least for a little longer till he goes to college. So my first question is this. I get good brownie points if I get any kind of spoilers on how to become a better drummer because he does play drums part-time. And on the other side of the fence, talk to me a bit about how your passion for music varies from your passion for making film.
Um, I think I, I get lost in that sounds like a title of a song. I say lost in music, like, and you can really let yourself go, especially with when you're playing drums, an instrument like that, which involves a lot of energy, and you feel that you're really part of it. And even though it might be a cover that you're playing of another band, you really feel you get involved in that when you're playing the drums and add your own dimension to it. You don't always get that in acting, because it can be quite not disciplined, but there is a script, there is a certain way that character needs to be. And you can try stuff out, and it might not always work, but whatever, hey ho. But yeah, music is a big expression. It's very exciting playing live music as well. Even like setting up, like people gathering the response of the crowd and people coming up and talking to you after. It's like doing live theatre, only probably just more exciting and a bit that sort of smokier, in inverted commas, um, dirtier environment that you're in. So yeah, that's excitement.
The biggest one is this. When my kids get older, like now, like I would probably only get brownie points with my 18-year-old if I was doing like a UFC interview. Then he'd be like, yeah, you're the GOAT. So, like, for instance, my other son, the 20-year-old, plays drums. Like his father
Mm.
plays drums. So, of course, he's playing drums. And so I'm always asking drummers who have been on stage professionally, etc., how can he get better? What should he be doing? Is there a trick you learn that I can pass on to him? Because I always want to
Well,
be the
yeah,
GOAT, the mom
don't
GOAT.
don't overplay.
Mm,
Is being a great drummer is about knowing when to keep quiet.
okay.
It's a bit like silences in acting. I can't remember the director now, but they said, right, take, like action, and the guy's like doing stuff, and he says, give me less, and he's like, okay, and he said, give me less. He says, if I do any less, I'll be doing nothing, and the director's like, that's it. I can't remember that's what we when I,
Yeah.
so when obviously you can't sit there and do nothing, but there's quite a lot of times when you're just playing the rhythm, playing the beat, and that's fine. But there's times when you got to bring that up and put in unexpected. It's like listening to classical music where suddenly you go from there to there, and then it
Yes.
goes down again. And so the drumming's got to enhance the music, bring that out without you having to play constantly through it. So the more you leave out, sometimes the better it is. So
Nice.
and listen to the other guys, and especially the rhythm guitarist, because
Got
that's
it.
the guy that you can play with and play together, and do some little tricky stuff that really works.
Hmm.
But do less.
Thank you. Um, I know we want to talk about you being on the theater stage, and I talk to theater actors often, but this is what I want to ask you. Theater prep, I imagine, is obviously different than preparing for a film. So my question to you is theater easier from the standpoint of, I imagine that yes, there are more auditions, or excuse me, there's more rehearsal time. But isn't the run shorter, meaning that in some ways it is less work, or am I wrong in that thinking?
I think, I mean, I've done a bit of both. I mean, there can be laborious film shoots where you're thinking, why do we need so much time to do this when it could have been better structured, and we could have come in later in the day or later in the week, or well, and sitting around doing nothing. So sometimes there's production questions you've got, but then you sometimes find the film's on such a low budget, we don't have selected people to do these roles. So you have to appreciate that, you know. So with theatre, yes, I agree that sometimes the rehearsal schedules can be long and arduous. But then again, you say, well, did it have to be that long? You know, what are we achieving each time we go in?
Yeah.
Some of them could be better structured, so that we're getting the best out of people in less time rather than
Hmm.
stretching it out and just chucking mud against the wall, chucking numbers and time at it.
Yeah.
Hopefully, it's going to get better. You got to target it, so that can be a bit frustrating.
I imagine.
It can be hard. Um, yeah, theatre and film, different preparations. I mean, film's quite scary like that because you don't get rehearsals. Um, very occasionally, you might get something.
Yeah.
And the first time you know, oh hi, yeah, you're going to play opposite me. We're going to play opposite each other like 10
Yeah.
minutes before, and then you're in there, and it's like, right, do you want a quick line run? It's like, well, if you like, and you're like, oh, what's it? Oh, okay, right, we're ready, guys. Yeah, okay, we're going to do a take, and
Yeah.
action. You're like, and then you're in, and then right, we'll move on. You're like, was that it? I don't even know if that was any good. Like, he didn't say anything. So that's it. It's gone. So yeah, that can be a little bit scary.
I
At
bet.
least with a theatre, you got a chance to get it right on the next night. If you didn't get it right on that night, so, uh,
And out of all the performances you've done on the theater stage, which one would be fair to say is the closest resemblance to you as a person? I'm always curious about that because on the stage, I think you're able to become multiple characters. In my perception of watching theater actors, I believe that they evolve with every performance. So the character that you got on Friday may not be the same one on Sunday. However, again, I could be wrong. So, I mean, you
mm,
tell me, is there one in particular that's the real you, or do you
I
evolve over a performance?
yeah, I mean, I, I think probably I did a play about Rudyard Kipling. You know, British writer.
Yep.
He wrote a poem. He wrote some war poems and things like that. But
Sure.
he sent his son to war. He encouraged his son to sign up for the First World War, and he was accepted. And his son got killed. And he was always trying to do the best for his family and try the best for his country and the best for. So he's been torn between trying to do the right thing, and trying to withhold his own principles. And so I guess I'm often a little bit like that in terms of trying to please everybody, and sometimes it can end up not quite being as you wanted it to be. Not a disaster, but you think,
Sure.
well, you know, so yeah, maybe him.
Mm,
He was a very
okay.
stiff upper lip guy, as a very British moustache, and
Look at
um,
that.
I know it's yeah, a very, very, very well spoken chap, a very sort of interesting chap.
Hmm.
Wrote a lot
Okay.
of stuff. So yeah, probably
Okay.
him. I've done some wacky stuff on stage as well, but um,
Yes, you
yeah,
have.
yeah.
In fact, as an actor, I can tell you folks, so far he's got 31 credits to his name with another 8 or 9 coming. I always like to go back sometimes to talk to people. Your very first project was a thing called Revenge of Innsmouth. Is that how we say that? Innsmouth?
Revenge of Innsmouth. Yeah, I've not
Yes.
actually seen that yet.
I was just going to ask you. So tell us. I don't know what date it was done because there's no date. So I'm guessing it could be a while ago. And then I'm like, okay, we always like to talk about evolution, meaning when you first
Yeah.
walked in on the very first set doing this for the
Well,
very first time.
I mean, funnily, I mean, I will talk about Revenge of Innsmouth because it's an interesting film, but or what surrounded that. But my actually first film was a thing called The Dentures of Death,
Oh
which
my
is a great
God.
title, a brilliant title.
Okay.
Um, and if you want to watch, it's on YouTube actually. You can watch that. It's on YouTube.
Oh my
Not
God.
not much of my stuff there, but yeah, watch that. And I play great Uncle Will, and his teeth. He loses his false teeth, and he's looking after his nephew. And there's a whole, so it's a brilliant. It's a graduation film. It's really good. And that was my
Okay.
first film thing. Revenge of
Okay.
Innsmouth, interestingly enough, is about It's a horror film about fishmen. Yep, fishmen that attack a village, Innsmouth,
Okay.
and
Okay.
I'm just one. I play George, I think my name was, in that, and I play a guy just in the cafe, sort of just one of the
Sure.
regulars in that. And it was part of Hex Studio, which is a big studio here in Scotland, in Fife. Make a lot of horror films. They've done a lot of work with Laurie Brewster, there, the owner and the director of some of these movies. But I met a guy on the set there at Revenge of Inmouth, a guy called Scott Brand, and I got a call from him out of the blue at the start of this year saying, "I'm making a movie in Switzerland this year,
Okay.
a Chekhov, Ward 6, one of Chekhov's plays. I'm making it into a feature film. Do you want to be in it?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Okay. So I'm playing a guy, a lunatic. I don't know why, but playing a lunatic in this asylum, and they're going to fly me out there and put me up, and
Nice.
money, and I met the guy on the set of Revenge of Innsmouth, and he played a fishman,
How interesting is
and he
that? Look
killed. I
at
think he might
that.
have killed me actually.
Now, I have to ask you about this question because technique is always super important when we discuss things with actors. I know that by and large, most of the body of your work finds you playing guys that are very different from this seemingly nice man sitting here. I say seemingly because we just never know if he's going to go into this crazy character at any second. I have come to learn that actors have like six personalities, maybe seven. So you never know who
Yeah.
you're with, like right now in the room. So, like, okay. Um, if I were to ask you, for you personally, is there a process? Meaning, if you know you have to do heinous things, or if you're going to be a very ugly, dark character, is there a process for you to get to that place? Or more importantly, how do you shake it off? It sounds like a lot of actors have a hard time leaving bad guys where they need to stay.
Yeah, I mean, there's always a big discussion about method.
Yeah.
And Laurence Olivier famously spoke, Dustin Hoffman in Marathon Man, where Dustin Hoffman lived for 6 months without washing, without bathing, without sleeping, and to get into the part. It might
Sure.
not have been 6 months, but and Laurence Olivier was, good God, why have you never tried acting, dear boy? Rather than just
Yeah.
living it. So,
Yeah.
why don't you just do it? So I tend to be more of the second, the type that I sort of can turn it on, and I get into that. I think because when you play parts that are very close to you,
Yes.
that helps. So, for example, I did a play at the Fringe last year called One Sugar Stirred to the Left, about a
Mhm.
guy that was in a hospice, unfortunately dying from cancer. And he was my age. And I thought, well, that could be me. And a guy played my son, and that could be my son, Dom, great guy, Dom Fraser.
Yeah.
And that he could be my son. We had a great relationship during the play. I'd worked with him before, where I again played a dying man in another play. So these characters are close to my age.
Yeah.
My father had recently died, so I'd been in a hospice. So these these life events tend to happen, and you end up doing roles that you're very close to in
Yeah.
real life. So
Sure.
that helps a lot. But if I'm playing like a 300-year-old Jacobean sea dwelling monster, um, it's a bit more difficult to align yourself to that, because
Yes.
you don't go around doing that every day. So you've just got to think, what if? That's a good thing. I don't know whether it was Stanislavski or Chekhov, but what if?
Yep.
What if I was this guy? What would I be thinking right now? But I don't spend weeks I just do it before, that,
I get you.
read it, and I'm,
Yeah.
what would I be doing here? I'm very much, I like reality. I like, realism.
Mhm.
So even if it's like just picking a cup up, the number of times you see actors picking up a coffee cup on a
Yeah.
movie set, and there's nothing in that cup. It's empty, or the suitcase.
Right.
Like, it's ruined it. They've not put any thought into that.
Yes.
We don't drink coffee like that.
Yeah.
We don't do that. But if that was real, so that's just a silly example. But if you take the whole thing, what would he do? How would he do? How would he say that?
Yes.
So I think approach it more of a technical side rather than an emotional,
Yeah.
practical person in that respect. And I'm like, I don't have to work myself up into some emotion. I think probably because I'm too busy concentrating on what he would technically do and how he would say it. So yeah, I don't have to generate the emotion. It just happens.
Now, because of a lot of these darker roles, I see that you go to places like I just saw you at all these various horror comic cons and festivals and things of that nature. So I've
Mm,
often wondered, there's a lot of strange creatures, and I mean this in a good way. A lot of my friends love horror, but do you ever notice the people that go to these, you're kind of like, yeah, they're really into this sort of thing. Like they dress like them, they talk like them, they kind of mirror the character. Do you know what I'm saying? Has
mm.
that been your
Yeah,
experience there?
yeah, yeah. Well, it's it. I mean that I was at HorrorCon last weekend,
Right.
and that's the first one I'd been to
Hmm.
actually. And but the weekend before, I'd been at a film festival, Romford Horror Film Festival, where I had two films premiering premiering that weekend.
Yep.
The Popeye slasher
Yep.
and the Reign of Queen Janara. So two horror films. And I think one of the biggest things is that you often feel like you're disappointing people because they speak to you all about horror genre and famous horror directors.
Yep.
And that, oh, you must have seen so and so in when he did so back in 1984, you know, and they named this film, and you're like, yeah, you know, and you almost feel like, I'm sorry, but just because I do horror films,
Right.
I'm not a horror geek. If it,
Yeah, I
I
get
don't
you.
know. I really don't know. You know, I'll respect and try and uh, talk, have the conversation with you.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, how disappointing. He plays, he's in horror films, but he knows nothing about horror. So, you know what I'm
I
saying?
see what you're saying.
But
They
I know what
expect
you
you to
mean
be,
about there's
yeah.
some wacky costumes and stuff and some fantastic people dressed up in. And it was I got a pair of socks and it was the carpet from the shine from The Shining with Jack
Okay.
Nicholson.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Okay.
and then that crazy pattern
Yeah.
on the carpet,
You mean
which
like
has
the
got some.
orange and brown
Yeah,
carpet?
yeah.
Yeah.
It's got some deep, meaningful. You know, Stanley Kubrick was like, oh yeah, yeah. Anyway, and I had a pair of socks with this on, and I forgot to wear them. And when I was there, a girl had a bag, a tote bag with the pattern on it,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh, there's a pattern. Look, look. And then I saw a girl with the whole dress,
Oh
you
my
know,
gosh.
made out. And I went up to her and I said, hey, I've got a pair of socks like that. And she was like, really? Yeah, but I didn't wear them today. Okay. I
People are a little, they're a little bizarre. Because I'm like,
don't know.
if you think about it logically, most people that watch horror movies are either just love to be, traumatized or love to be
Mm,
scared or petrified. Some of us get dragged because my kid likes horror. So of course I have to go to these even when I don't like them because I really don't like them that much. But yeah, I think it takes a different kind of crowd to appreciate, I guess, the horror genre to really, I
yeah.
mean, because nowadays they've upped the bar and things have gotten so insane crazy. We're in a Terrifier mode where it's like people watch
Mhm.
movies like Terrifier and I'm like, it's a little much.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you know, I mean, we watched The Shining the other night, and it's a good
Yeah.
classic jump out of your seat horror, you know. But some of them, I mean, the Popeye film we did, that's like they call it a slasher movie,
Yeah.
or schlock horror. It's blood and more blood and more blood, and people get their heads pulled off, and blood comes out, and you're like, oh my God, you know,
It's
or
a lot.
the hand gets chopped, like, oh, my hand, you know, it's or the saw that you said. I
Yes.
mean, that's actually a circular saw, and there's a note saying like chainsaws are for
Yeah.
children
I
because they're
saw.
just
Good of him to
amateur,
bring that up.
amateur.
Chainsaws are for children. Isn't that wonderful? No, it's not. It isn't. Okay. I want to talk to you because as I told you before we started this interview, I could listen to you all day because you sound very different than I do. However, most people don't. I don't think people really appreciate or understand how important change of dialect is. Meaning,
Mhm.
I would venture to guess that you having a dialect or an ability to have so many dialects is an asset as an actor. And then number two, how hard is it to, again, how hard is it to shake that off? Because I'm like, if I'm walking around talking like a British person for like 4 weeks or like however long, is that hard to get rid of, or are you kind of stuck with it?
I think accents are an incredibly interesting subject, and you sort of get that when you're traveling down the motorway from Scotland down to the south of England. Every time you stop at a service station and you speak to someone behind the counter, the accent change the accent changes as you go down through. So that's quite interesting.
Okay.
So and accents can change in a very small space.
Hmm.
Britain. So and probably other places as well. I think accents. I'm originally from Penzance in Cornwall,
Yeah.
so like I said, they speak like that, and they're like a bit like pirates. Jim lad, and that's the sort of
Yeah.
West Country accent that you get. And if I spend any time down there, it's where I grew up. I will start talking to people down there, and when I come back to Scotland, I'll be talking like that, like a West
Okay.
Country person, because I've been mingling with people. So that you can become very impressionable if you're amongst people with an accent that you're familiar with. And when you come back to where you live, people say, "Hey, you sound dead Cornish," or
Yeah.
because you've not quite shaken that off. But that goes away. That just disappears after a few days, I think. But when I go down south, people say, "Oh, you sound really Scottish." And when I'm in Scotland, people are like, "You sound really English." So you can't really win,
Yeah.
because you people that live in an area, there will be little bits of their accents that they will pick up words that only people say in that area.
I get
Um,
you. Okay.
and like
Um,
in Scotland, there's a wee bit of this and a wee bit of that, and there's a wee
uh,
bit is a little bit again, and it's
yeah.
you'll be saying stuff like that. It's a wee bit, we don't. So yeah, so they rub off. They can rub off.
Sure. Now, most of you probably don't stalk him as much as I do, but I'm here to tell you I've noticed the color changes, whether it's suits or shoes. If you could see his jewelry, obviously he rotates what he wears on his
It's not
hands
my
and on his
hair anymore.
arms. See the you see the bracelet that you've got on there. You change your style quite a bit, and I think it's interesting because it's different all the time. Colors are different, the looks are all very different.
Hmm.
Again, is that part of your personality or part of the professional that wants to stand out among other actors? Do you ever think about that subconsciously?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I don't think about it subconsciously. I think about it very consciously. I make a, a a big thing about, if I'm going somewhere, I want to look different.
Yeah.
Um, I want something to stand out, and I think it's about subtlety. You can't wear, a bright pink jacket and a bright red shirt and a
Yeah.
bright yellow trousers and bright. That looks just ridiculous. So it's got to be one or two things. It's like, oh, I like your jacket. I like the way it goes with your boots.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, that's exactly. And you're thinking that's exactly what I was trying to do.
There you
Uh,
go.
or oh, I like that ring. You go, oh, really? Yeah, and so yeah, absolutely, yeah. And
Okay.
I'm always trawling shops looking for stuff like charity shops,
Oh
um,
yeah.
and like or vintage clothing shops. And
Hmm.
I don't spend loads and loads of money on stuff, but I think I like that. Or cowboy boots. I like a pair of cowboy boots. I once bought a pair of cowboy boots that were two sizes too big for me. Because
Okay.
you've got to buy them. They're a bargain, and the trouble with charity shops, they don't have things in different sizes. It's that
Right.
one size. So, but I was determined that these were going to fit.
Okay.
And they never did. I stuffed the toes with paper and stuff like that. But yeah. So yeah, it's a conscious thing. I like to be different. I like to look different. I don't want to be a sheep,
Amen to that one, which
you
leads
know.
to the bigger question because I use these oftentimes as teaching tools, meaning
Mm.
interviews. If a fellow actor is listening to this at some point, what would you recommend? Because obviously, A, you're in a different country than I am. Here, we do a lot more self-tapes. That kind of became the norm even after the pandemic kind of ended. A lot of people are still
Mm.
sticking to the whole let's
Mm.
do the self-tape and send it in versus in person. How does one really get the attention of a casting director? What's a couple of your go-tos that's going to work no matter what, whether you're in person or on a self-tape for you?
Well, if you're doing a real a self tape, I think you've got to make sure the quality is there in terms of technical quality.
Yeah.
But that and people, it does surprise me how people casting directors still have to give advice on that. At the bottom of this, say, please make sure you film horizontally. Please make sure we can hear you. Please make sure we can see your face. Please,
Sure.
I think, do people really do that? Still do that wrong? But they must do, otherwise they wouldn't put it on the bottom of the emails.
Right.
So presentation is important to start with. I I like to look at what they've given me, and I always like to do something a little bit different that's going to jump out. That's the theory.
Yeah. Well,
So
sure.
I don't go away from it. I always make sure I give them exactly what they've said, but I'll do another one. I'll do another take and do something slightly off the wall.
Okay.
Um, so it'll be, and quite because I firmly believe that sometimes 50% of the time people don't actually know what they're looking for,
Hmm.
and they'll give a
Interesting.
brief. They'll give a brief, and this is what they think they're looking for.
Okay.
So 90% of the people follow that. And then a couple of people that, well, actually, I'm going to give them something different. And when they see that, they go, hey, that's what we're looking for.
Yeah.
So that's got to explain why when you don't get a part and you then see it on the telly and it's
Yep.
totally different to the brief that they gave you, that could be the only reason because they weren't looking for that. They were looking for something different.
Uh-huh.
So
Sure. No, I
my
get
advice
you.
is to try something different.
Nice. Now, on the flip side of the fence, because yes, you've been a producer in the producer capacity two different times. I always like to ask producers, a lot of other filmmakers are always shopping scripts around and trying to get interested parties. For you personally, what appeals to you, draws you in, and makes you want to say, hey, I want to put my name on this as producer?
I think the enthusiasm of the team. Now, because you get that's contagious when you meet the people and the people involved, and they've got a great idea, they've got a great script or whatever,
Sure.
and they're pulling everything to try and get this thing off the ground, and people are doing it for less money, and maybe some people are doing it for free, and you think, these guys have got heart, and that's got to be worth something, and
Yeah.
um, and I done a lot of stuff for free that only because I like the team and I like I like the work and the passion.
Yeah.
So that's what drives it every time.
I love that. I do. Speaking of which, let's talk about that.
A true
You were a producer.
mismatch.
Yes. Tell us about a true mismatch.
A true mismatch is a 4-part now Amazon Prime series that
Okay.
centers around Victorian uh, weaving, like a woolen mill type
Okay.
environment. And it's meant to be set in Victorian London, but it's actually filmed in Paisley in Scotland, where we've got a lot of, you see the cobbled streets and the little lampposts and all that type of thing. And we've managed to use a location there which is part of the museum that sets up as it was in that time with looms and all that type of stuff. And it's a story about how class in those days couldn't move classes. You were either an upper class person or you
Okay.
were a middle class or you couldn't jump. There was no such thing as that.
Okay.
So the guy I played, Mr. Godfrey, the mill owner, and I'm quite a stern Victorian guy. And my daughter starting to fall in love with a guy from like a street urchin, basically,
Okay.
um, whose mother works in one of my factories or in my only factories. And there's a romance. So this is where the mismatch comes in. It's a mismatch of class.
Mm,
And in the latest episode we shot, I've arranged it's an arranged marriage.
okay.
My daughter has got to marry a guy because he's got a lot of money. He's from a good family, and it's very important to carry on the family name and the family tradition. Whether she loves him or not is another. It's just not. He's not interested in that.
Sure.
She has a duty to uphold the security of the family and the family name, and that's what her main concern should be. And you will grow to love him. you will grow together. That won't happen at the start, but you will through companionship find deep,
Gotcha.
satisfying love. And she's like, I don't think I will, because he's not a hunk.
Now,
He's a stiff upper lip, you know, posh
gent,
bloke. I
bloke,
don't love it. Yeah.
yes. Does this lead me to believe that this character that you're playing in this particular project would be less than your demonic evil self? A little nicer, even though intent may not be wonderful?
His he wants the best. He wants for his daughter to be happy.
Sure.
And in those days, it was money, and women couldn't do anything on their own.
Yeah.
Um, so her feelings didn't really come into it. So for her to be secure in her future, she needed to marry somebody with money because there was no way she was going to work.
Mhm.
So he, at heart, he's got passion and he's got the love for his daughter and he wants the best. But he's trying to again. He's trying to do the right thing. Is the favorite subject. But that's the only way he knows how. And his wife has died as well. Her mother's died, so he's
I
got some
getcha.
sorrow in his life.
Okay.
And
I getcha.
um, people are stealing from. Sometimes people steal from in the factory, and you know it's not a good thing. He
Yeah.
despises the working classes.
Hmm.
You know, scum of the
Now,
earth.
this is Amazon.
Sorry.
Surprise. This is this is an Amazon production. So is it currently out? Or any of the episodes out yet?
Yeah, first
Okay.
three episodes are out.
Cool. Okay.
Uh, we're working on episode four at the moment.
Awesome.
So that should be
All
done.
right.
Difficult because the location we use is a as a visitors center, a holiday place, and the season has just started.
Oh
So
boy.
we can't go in there and film because there's
Right.
people. So we're
I
probably
get
not
it.
going to be able to finish that till the end of the year on some of the
Okay.
locations anyway.
Oh, sure.
But it's
I
very
get you.
difficult. It's very difficult filming. We've filmed this over about 3 years, but it's meant to take
Oh
part in the space of 3 weeks.
oh my
So
God.
so we're so we're all a bit
Wow.
we're all a bit older,
Yeah, I'm sure. Looking a
but
little different.
it's meant to be
Yeah.
next week. You know? And people have moved on and doing other things. So getting the cast together. This is what I mean about the passion. It's
Yeah.
like we're going to complete this, even though half the people aren't available anymore. We're going to get them back in, and we're going to,
There you
and
go.
everyone's drawn into it.
Yep. Now, on the flip side of the fence, Shiver Me Timbers is a little
Shiver
different,
me
isn't it?
timbers. A little different. It's about when Popeye goes bad, and he in a group of kids. It's a typical. It's a slasher movie. It's the kids go on holiday in California, and it was filmed in Scotland, but it's
Yeah.
California, Scotland. Um, and they go on a camping trip, and they're always hunky dory, and they smoke a little bit of weed, and
Mm.
meanwhile Popeye turns bad and starts attacking them. And one by one, they meet their. It's had some great reviews. It came out in the States the 1st of April.
Okay.
It's on all the video streaming channels.
Nice.
It's been getting some great reviews. We're very pleased with it. I play a guy called Lieutenant Lang, that's a war veteran, and I'm a wheelchair user, and I'm in this dirty old vest, and I've got this sort of southern, you kids smoking that shit, sort of accent. He's a little bit loopy, and he's got a double barrel shotgun, and who's there? No one's going to hurt you. Sort of. So he's quite scary, but he's not. He's a lovely chap. I'm not going to tell you what happens to him, but
I can
but
only imagine
I
it's
play them.
probably good, of
Have a
course.
have a look on my IMDb, and you'll see a clip of Lieutenant
Oh,
Lang.
nice. Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha. Okay, good.
there.
So everybody can check that out right there. I don't want to forget to mention, in case you folks don't know, yeah, I mentioned before that he was on Netflix, The Puppet Master. So at this point, people can still see it on Netflix, right? It's still there?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's a con. It was based on a true story of a big con where a girl was kidnapped,
Hmm.
and by a con artist basically, and I play her dad.
Okay.
Um, So yeah, that's a
Cool.
very interesting documentary. It's a docu crime, a crime documentary type thing.
Very nice. We'll have to take a look at that. And I know, of
Yeah,
course, upcoming, as a matter of fact, in a few days at the Greenhill Theater in Vermont is a screening of your film Malcolm. And so, can you give us a short synopsis of that project?
Malcolm. Yeah, that is a guy that's sort of obsessed with it. In the film, he's there's all these things happening to him, but he's got a sort of condition that where he's fixed on whether he can get a pen to work during the movie. So
Okay.
and all these things are falling apart around him, and he's in debt, and he tries to
Yeah.
borrow money. And I play a lorry driver that's looking for female company. And Malcolm is a hot dog owner, and I have this long conversation with him about where I can find this sort of form of entertainment. And poor old Malcolm sort of dragged into it. So it's a story of an everyday guy,
Okay.
and what and the stuff he gets dragged into. And there's a great Gordon Miller, one of my friends, is in that. He plays the big guy, the money lender,
Okay.
big bushy grey beard, and he's a lovely chap. And Joseph, who plays Malcolm, we were in that film together. And then in the summer of that year, we I started auditioning for a play, and I sort of like, I recognize this guy, and I'm sure I've seen you before. He said, "Yeah, we shot a film together at the start of the year." And I'm like,
Look at that.
I'm so sorry, Joseph.
Didn't mean to
I didn't
forget you
remember.
there, buddy.
Maybe it's my age. Yeah.
No, you're not that
But
old,
no,
my guy.
Malcolm. It's that. So that's showing.
Yeah. On the
Yeah.
26th, 25th, excuse me, at the Greenhill Theater in Vermont. And then will it continue on the festival circuit? So it's going to be a bit
Yes.
before it's public, right?
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of circuits, festival. Yeah, I think we've had three or four festival acceptations for that, so we're quite pleased about that. It's a good
Very
one.
nice. And
The
then,
chap actually, well, sorry, Cindy.
no,
The director of that and the writer of that is actually the cinematographer on A True Mismatch.
geez. They're all
Yeah,
kind of interwoven here, right?
yeah, that's
That's
right.
indie film for you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Um, I know you have about 7 or 8 upcoming projects and two that stood out to me, which I think are in post-production now. The Screen and Mortem. Do we have any updates on those or any of the upcoming ones?
The screen is that was at the Hex Studio that I told you about earlier on. That
Yeah.
was it's a group of guys there that put that together. It was originally called the Haunted Screen, so it gives you some idea. It's set in an abandoned cinema
Okay.
where two children mysteriously disappeared like 10 years ago, and a group of kids
Jeez.
go in there and try and on the anniversary of when it happened, they go in there and try and find out a little bit more about it. And
This
I
is
play
probably
the
not going to end well, is it?
I play the janitor. This is my mop, by the way. I play the the janitor that tells them not to go in there. You know,
And they just don't
it
listen,
just
do
reminds me
they?
that I mean, it doesn't end like this, but it just reminds me a bit of Scooby Doo. You know, that was it was the janitor. I would have made it if it wasn't for you pesky kids. Yeah. But it doesn't end like that. But anyway, so
Okay.
that's that. I've just seen that on IMDb today. Actually,
Oh,
that came up
nice.
today.
Okay.
Yeah, of the screen. And the
Okay.
other one, Mortem. That's an interesting one. That's being filmed by one guy, Callum. Can't remember his surname, but Callum, lovely guy, and he's doing that very much as a one man project. A little bit of help. He's been filming that over 7 years,
Oh my goodness.
and just about every actor I know has got is in it somewhere.
Oh, that's
um,
lovely.
and we're all waiting. We're all waiting
I get
for
you.
the premiere will be like they'll have to hire out the Albert Hall or something to. So that's a bit of fun. It's a long-term project,
Nice.
that one.
Very nice. So before I tell everyone how to find you, I've saved like the two biggest questions for last. First of which is I can't believe that we didn't bring this up, and I wasn't going to, but I'm like, in case you guys don't know, you were the winner of the BBC The Weakest Link. I was
Yeah,
afraid to bring it up because when someone says, "Yeah, I'm the winner of The Weakest Link," it kind of is an oxymoron. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I'm the weakest link.
Yes, that's right.
So
Yeah.
I guess my one question to that is, how the hell do you win the weakest link? Because I'm like, don't you have to be like the strongest in it? I mean, like, I don't
Well,
really
that
get.
is it. That is the winner is the strongest. The winner is
That's
the
what I
strongest
mean.
link
I'm like, it doesn't
because
make sense. I don't get it. Like, I don't
well,
get it. Like, I get it's a
there's nine
thing.
there's nine of you in the studio, and you get. Do you know Anne Robinson? Anne Robinson's a very British sort of presenter.
Yes.
She was the presenter of that program for a lot of years, and she has this very, very stern approach to people and no nonsense at all, you know. And they fire questions in a row, go around this like a semicircle, and if they get it wrong, then that's fine. They get it wrong, it goes to the next person, another question, and they can
Okay.
pass or they can nominate people and they can bank money. And at the end of the round, they all vote to see who should be voted off. So you
Okay.
write the name of who you think's the weakest link, and everyone turns the board over, and the person that gets the most votes is off the show. And it carries on like that. So they are the weakest link on that. And at the very end, it comes down to sudden death, and there's the two of you. And mine went to a playoff actually, where we both got five questions right,
Yeah.
and it was the first person to get one wrong would be off, and I won. So, so,
That's the major
so,
bragging rights. I
so I
mean,
was
like,
the
you should cast
strongest.
me because I'm the weakest link,
It is.
technically.
That's right. And when you say that, people they're like, "Really? You were on it? How did you get on?" And I won it. You know. So we won a lot of money. It was because the money you bank is the prize at the end. You see.
Wait, cool.
Um,
And people can still watch that, right? Because it's on the BBC,
yeah,
huh? Okay. Heck
it'll
yeah.
be 2009. I think that was aired. I
So
think I filmed
10.
it the year before.
Oh yeah, that was a ways. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I look a bit different in that one.
Just a little bit. My last question, because I'm just astonished by this. Dude's done 7 marathons, and I started off
Yeah.
saying he knows how to run. So
Mm.
clearly, if you won 7 marathons, you know how to run. So the key question becomes for all of us, because I used to run a mile or two every day. Now I've gotten a little older, and it is harder, obviously,
Mm.
stamina and your body and your joints, etc. So what is really the key to being a good athlete and keeping in shape when you become a bit older, because I think you're what, like 40 now? Just kidding.
Oh, Cindy. I love
But
you.
seriously, it's true. I mean, 7 marathons, and I know that maybe you did this at different times in your life, but it leads me to believe that clearly you know how to take care of yourself, physically, because acting is also a physical game, so to speak. You
Yeah,
know what I
I
mean?
mean, I was when I was at school, I was in a terrible. I always came last in the cross country running and things, and I didn't do any exercise really at all between
Uh-huh.
leaving school into my 50s. I did nothing. I mocked runners when I saw runners. I said, "Look at him! Well, get the bus." Why would you do that? Why would you want to run anywhere? So I started fencing. I quite fancied fencing. And when I went along, I was just so out of breath and so tired. And I was being run around the gym by these 18-year-olds running circles around me. And I
Sure.
thought, I need to get fitter. So I'm going to start doing some running. And I went out in the middle of the night so no one could see me. I didn't want anyone to see me running. And I wore a big hat. And I would run for 30 seconds and then walk and then run and walk and run. And over the weeks, I did a mile. And I'm in my 50s. And I thought, I wonder if I could do 2 miles. I wonder if I, and that's how it, and I did a 5K and I did a
Oh
10K and a half
yeah.
marathon. And then I
Okay.
think I'm going to do the London Marathon. So I got a charity place on that. Managed to raise some money. And because these are hard to get into, these marathons, you have to, if you don't get a ballot place, you have to sometimes do it through a charity and they'll sponsor you if
Got
you
it.
raise some. Yeah.
Okay.
And I ended up doing the London Marathon 4 times. I did New York and I did Chicago, and I had some others in my sights, but then COVID came,
Yeah.
and that all stopped because
Sure.
all those events were cancelled.
Yeah.
The motivation went down because I'm very goal driven, so I
Okay.
wanted to complete this and complete that, and the times are all there, but if there was nothing to go for, it was hard to keep going. I still run now, not quite so much, not quite so far, but who knows? I've still got Boston in my sights
Ooh,
and
that would be good.
Tokyo. Yeah,
That'd be way good.
I've been running now probably 12 years.
Hmm.
Uh, so I've not been an athlete all my life. I'm by no means I would call myself an athlete now, but uh, I'm a plodder.
I'd say you've been running for quite some time because, again, look at his social media. He's literally running. I'm going to a premiere. I'm going here. I've got 5 days of work here. I have to run here. I'm running with my kid here. I'm running over here. I'm running over there. So he really is a working, running artist, so to speak. I want to remind everybody of his name, which is Stephen Correll. It is spelled, by the way, Stephen. Last name is spelled Corrall. I have found you on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and IMDb. Any other places where folks can find you online?
I think that's about it. I've got some stuff on YouTube, I think, but not a great
Oh,
deal.
yeah.
But I don't use LinkedIn.
Okay.
I'm on there, but I don't really use it as much. But Instagram's my go-to,
Yes, that's what I figured.
and obviously IMDb. I'm on Spotlight as well, which is the
Oh,
casting site.
of
So
course.
casting site
Yes.
for casting directors. And
S-
Facebook's just a bit of fun, really. But yeah,
Yes.
Instagram, IMDb, look me up. Shiver My Timbers comes out in Britain in June, and it's out in the States already. So
Look at that.
you'll enjoy it.
He's a walking commercial. So, in closing, let me just say why I feel that everyone should know this wonderful man. I happenstance, I think we found each other, or I found him online, and one of the things that drew me to him, which I've always said, which is he has styles and strides and looks that resemble my better half. And so, what woman wouldn't want to know a guy that resembles him in any shape or form? So that was the original attraction here was he reminds me so much of my Michael. But more importantly, I think what's so important that you should take away from this interview, not only are you uber talented and uber unique in how you dress and how you act and how you look, but I gave him a compliment before we started here, which is I think he lives and breathes and embodies entertainment. The entertainer within him is elated and it shines through all the time in everything that he does. That's so very impressive. More impressive, honestly, than all these accolades that we have on a piece of paper. Because I think to be a wonderful, remarkable, rememberable actor, you have to embody and embrace and love what you do so much that it's passion 24/7 for you. So he's on all the time. Can he run? Yes. Does he have a lot of accents? Yes. Could someone please put him in a comedy? Please put him in a romance. Put him in anything that doesn't require slaughter or him looking evil would be
Slaughter.
wonderful. But most importantly, remember the fact that he is just a wonderful person and a great actor. I mean, that's about as good as I can do here.
Cindy, thank you very much. I really
Like,
appreciate
sure.
it. It's been lovely talking to you.